I know. Can't stop the run, can't. Nobody can stop the run.
Yeah.
David, they sweat every week.
Check, 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 check. All right, all right, all right. All right. Let's get this party started. Roger, I like this kind of party. That's one of my, Roger's my favorite kind. Listen, I may just get you up here in a minute. Don't you listen? You may have to perform from to 6 to 10 and also 11 to 11:30 to 1. Great to be here. Welcome everybody. Week 10, Rex, of 16 weeks together. Wow, year number 18. It's amazing we have an 18-year-old here. And it can be rambunctious at sometimes. But man, what a year it's been. It's so great to have Nathan and all the UCA purple in the room today. It's nice, Rex, that UCA is having a weekend off, has a bye week, just like Arkansas. So, and there's nothing better than going into a bye week with a win. Do we all agree with that? Yes, that's outstanding. Speaking of a couple things, I just saw Steve Sullivan's tweet. Arkansas will play Auburn at 11 a.m. on the SEC network. So I like that. I like that when you go to, although it didn't help much in Starkville. Didn't help much there starting at 11. But, Coach, I don't know about you, but I always would rather play early on the road, and you just don't have the tailgating experience. And I thought maybe that Auburn would have a head coach today. I was wrong about that, so we'll see. But anyway, just wanted to give you the note of that. I do want to thank everybody here in the room. What a year it's been. So how many last week when remember what Robbie Bosco said? Matt, you got that lined up? So Coach, Robbie Bosco, All-American at BYU, came in here from Provo, a long way to get here, and he was talking about his concerns with his BYU Cougar team playing the Razorbacks. And he said something that turned out to be quite accurate. Matt, if you would.
Years. And so when I think of Arkansas as a football team, I think of their massive offensive line and then the speed they've had at running back and the talent that they have. And so we've got to be ready to go, or this could be a long game for the Cougs. We don't need KJ to play.
We're glad about that.
We don't play against 250-pound quarterbacks in Utah too often.
That is true.
That can run the ball, so that's going to be a tough one.
And that turned out to be prophetic. Everybody saw the 3rd and 10 that KJ they could not bring him down, and that's exactly right. As a matter of fact, I saw Robbie in the press box in Provo, and he just wanted to thank everybody. Just said everybody was super nice to me, and so I was really proud that he was able to come here. And they're coming back next year. So I'm putting Rex in charge, because you know what happened at BYU, right? Up in the coach, this is what happened up in Provo. They found the Razorback section, and a group of BYU folks came out with free ice cream and cougar claws. Cougar tails or claws or whatever. So Rex is in charge of the ice cream next year for Fayetteville. Can you think of anybody that can do it better than Rex getting ready for that, too? I saw the triple burger that Rex had today for lunch, and so he's already, I can't say much. He's already priming for next year. All right, Gary, will you come up and lead us in a word of prayer?
If Rex hands out anything at a Fayetteville game, it will say Washita somewhere on it. You know, but y'all won again. Just keep going. That's great. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the day, the opportunity we have to get up and to serve you today, to come here and enjoy a company and food and fellowship. Lord, we ask you to use us in your service today. Thank you for your grace and mercy. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Gary Underwood. If you mute your phones, but if you want to text everybody and say if you want to catch Coach Brown on TV, you can watch Facebook Live, YouTube. You can listen to it at 103.7 The Buzz. We'll be live on there. So many ways to hear Coach Brown today, so just make sure and mute your phones. One of the things we do, all of our good friends from UCA here today, we work towards the end of the year where we give out these awards that are behind us. And Rex, I don't know if you saw, I mentioned last week Kyle Duggar, the kid who won the Cliff Harris Award a couple years ago. He picked up a fumble recovery for the New England Patriots, ran in for the touchdown. Yesterday, an interception for the Patriots. Judy, he's rocking and rolling. I'm telling you, he's going to be an all-pro for them. Maybe this year, we'll see. But that's what we work towards. And I told Nathan, no pressure or anything. You know, John Gruden had 1 million views at his speech, and Ed Orgeron had 4 million. So you got to say something viral today that everybody talks about, Nathan. Something about you and your wife. If you want to say, if you want to go there, something very, you want to re-propose to her or whatever. I don't know. But great to have you here. Couldn't do it without our great sponsors. Let's thank them real quick. 103.7 The Buzz. Terry Mahan, the CEO, should be very happy being a Tennessee Vol supporter. She's on cloud nine. We appreciate the Buzz and their support being here live every week. Hatcher Agency, Twin City Limo. Great to see Greg Hatcher here. Of course, Papa always takes good care of us. Came up on the short end a little bit this weekend, Greg, but we're going to get him this week. And who are we playing this week? Southern Miss, and they barely beat Arkansas State this week, so I may get a chance to go in there and watch Lane, but appreciate your support of the Touchdown Club, the home of outrageous service, Hatcher Agency. Thanks to Greg. War Memorial Stadium, if you hadn't thought about it, it's a great place to do parties, to rentals, to whatever. Go to WMStadium.com. You can go in the locker rooms, up in the press box. It's really some cool opportunities. They've been around since 1948. We appreciate their support of our club. Arkansas Urology, there is no need to leave this state for prostate cancer treatment. This is the best place in America right here, Arkansas Urology. Thanks to Scott Davis and Chris Shinup. Pulaski County Farm Bureau, Todd Dennis, Stephen Reichard. Make sure and give these guys a chance to give you a quote on any of your insurance needs. They've been doing it for 80 years here in Pulaski County, so thanks to Pulaski County Farm Bureau. Advantage Service Company, Rex, we got cool weather coming in. I'm sure you're happy about that, aren't you? You and I are tired of sweating, but yeah, I am. I'm with you. Thanks to Kevin Brooks and the entire team at Advantage Service Company. One call does it all. Let them take care of you. Make sure your heater is squared up for the wintertime 5011 call. Dairy Queen, just in case you didn't know how many locations Dairy Queen has. Little Rock, Saline County, Sherwood, Sheridan, Cabot, Hot Springs, Greenbrier, Searcy, Arkadelphia, Monticello, Russellville, and Clarksville. Yeah, just like Rex there. So go by and get some comfort food if you need it. Sometime during the week, tell them the Touchdown Club sent you. Thanks to Dairy Queen. Simmons Bank Arena, got a busy week. So Thursday, you got Chris Stapleton. Friday, you have Maxwell. Saturday, you have Chicago. There's still tickets available. That's at Ticketmaster.com. How cool is it that we have an arena that you can go to, have these kind of concerts every week? They've been rocking one of the top-rated concert venues, maybe in the world, but definitely in America, thanks to Michael Mariana and Jana DeGeorge. But there are tickets available for some of those concerts. Big Red Store celebrating 25 years of serving the state, 48 locations across the state. Fill Up Friday is still going on during October. Customers can save 10 cents a gallon every Friday in October with a rewards card. So appreciate the Hendricks family. I noticed we haven't had any Cam Little videos lately, but Cam has hit two field goals in a row. Maybe time to bring him back here. So, but we love Cam and appreciate Big Red support of the Touchdown Club. Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings, great to have, Lindsay Jennings, rather. Judy, great to have you back. And how cool is it that y'all dove in to support the Cliff Harris Award and to be able to turn on the TV and see these kids that were right here in Little Rock. And not only are you guys a great law firm and have great attorneys, but you have a vision to believe in what can be. And I know Cliff is so excited. You remember when we started this thing, and Cliff wasn't even in the NFL Hall of Fame at the time. So anyway, thank you for your support. If you need any NIL information, want to find some athletes, could be at Washington, could be at UCA, doesn't matter. Judy and Wright Lindsay Jennings can help you there. Crane Automotive, largest dealer group in Arkansas, 23 locations, 1,000 employees. I can't believe you guys you pushed out Big Red over here this first few seats. They're not used to that. It's almost fighting words, but great to have Crane Automotive here every week. They're always here representing. The Democrat Gazette, Wally Hall and Amanda Copley. Amanda, I actually got to sit with Wally in the press box this weekend up in Provo. And, he was a lot better when we win, but it was beautiful, unbelievable, and Wally's been around. You guys have been a supporter of the Touchdown Club since day one. We'll have our All-Arkansas Preps Player of the Week, a young man who's only a sophomore, so we may get him back again, but thank you for all your support, the Democrat Gazette. And Simmons Bank, at our head table, Chris White, as we normally have, and Reggie Rose as well. Reggie, great to have you here. And Chris, glad to know your dad's finally at home. We obviously thinking about him and glad he's doing better. And, they've been around since 1903, Simmons Bank have. And they're worth $27 billion, but they're still an Arkansas bank, bottom line. So there's a lot of Simmons folks here. If you want to talk to them about a personal loan or a business loan, talk to these folks because it's great. Couldn't do it without their sponsorship and their support and all of our great sponsors. Let's give all of them a round of applause today, if you don't mind. Great to be here at the Doubletree Hotel. We appreciate them. I also want to recognize Matt Johnson, M&M Productions, handling our AV needs, Dwayne Duncan, photography, RJ Hawk, do-it-all man for the Touchdown Club. Great to have Vines Brookshire Agency back, Amber and Tom. Great to have you guys doing our social media. You're going to see every week we're going to get better and better with our social media. So thanks to them. We appreciate them. By the way, Twitter is at LR Touchdown Club. And our website, by the way, is lrtouchdown.com if you've wondered about that. But appreciate Amber and Tom and Vines and Brookshire Agency. And we couldn't do it without the best check-in setup group in America led by Debbie Wyman. Nobody does it better in America. Let's give it up for them and all of our great Touchdown Club team. It's a big birthday month here at the Touchdown Club, too. I had mine last week with Hazel, Jerry Jones. Houston Nutt was Friday. One of our board members, Wes Sutton, was Saturday. Roger Scott is tomorrow. He's following us, and I know RJ's is coming up, so it's a big month, and we're just blessed. I'm going to tell you, I know some folks that are in the hospital right now. I was just thinking, man, I'm so glad I'm standing up here at this podium, and don't have an IV in me, or don't have a child who's dealing with. So if you don't have that situation going on in your life right now, just thank the good Lord that we're blessed, and we come here and have fun and laugh and talk about a sport we love, and we are just blessed in a lot of ways. I just thought I want to get that out there. It's time for right now our All Arkansas Preps Player of the Week, RJ Hawk. Let's welcome him up here now.
Thank you, David. I like to give a little update on what we had last week because Jalen Dupree from Malvern, he was our athlete last week. Coming into last week's meeting, he had 10 touchdowns going into the meeting. Well, he scored another 5 this week, so his coach sent me the text that he now has 15 touchdowns over 3 weeks. So, Coach, not bad for 3 weeks, 15 touchdowns as a running back from Malvern. But let's move on. So this week, our Player of the Week comes from Little Rock Parkview, Omarion Robinson. 2 weeks ago against Hope, he scored 2 punt returns for a touchdown. He had a kick return for a touchdown, had an interception return for a touchdown, all in the first half of a 47-21 win over Hope. Not to mention, in that game, he had 234 total yards of offense in the first half. Last week, against Texarkana, in the first half, he had a 50-yard touchdown pass, and he also caught a touchdown pass in the first half. He didn't play in either the second half against the Hope game or the Texarkana, and Coach just told me a minute ago, the week before that, he only played in the first half. So in 3 weeks, he's really played 1 game in 3 weeks. He said that his friends call him Man. He got that from Pee Wee football. And get this, guys, he's only a sophomore, as David said just a moment ago. He currently has 10 offers on the table to play college football. He's not committed to anywhere just yet, but he's got 10 offers right now. His mom, LaToya's here. His dad, Liddell's here. His head coach, Brad Bolding's here. Our All-Arkansas Preps Player of the Week is Omarion Robinson from Little Rock Parkview. Hey, let's get over here real quick. Good job.
Yeah, that's, I told him, I said, young man, if you want to find ways to keep getting out of lunch at school, you keep doing this. We'll see you next year, the year after. Yeah, that's outstanding. Coach, great to have you here, too. It's always great to see a young man doing great, and a fine representative of Parkview, and what a few weeks. Very impressive. Rex, I'm so excited. You know, not only the Razorbacks get back on track, UCA with a big win, but, man, OBU, what, number 4 or number 5 in the nation right now?
One in each boat.
Yeah, number 4 and number 5 in America, and love that. That's what we love about supporting all of college football and high school. Let's give it up, everybody, for Rex Nelson.
Thanks, David. Well, UCA does move to 2-0 in the ASUN Conference. Congratulations, Coach. Big 51-24 victory at Kennesaw State in Georgia, and they're a good football team, but the Bears just smoked them. Coach, I'm going to let you have all the thunder on that one, but congratulations to the Bears on that win. Undefeated in conference right now. All right, the thing that Robbie Bosco was afraid of, Arkansas 52, Brigham Young 35. KJ Jefferson indeed had a great game, throwing for a career-high 5 touchdown passes. Rocket Sanders, a career-high 175 yards rushing. Matt Landers caught 3 touchdown passes. The Hogs scored on 8 consecutive possessions at one point in the game. I could go on and on. Arkansas outgains BYU 644 to 471. 644 to 471. Win the turnover battle 3-1. KJ 29 of 40 passing, 367 yards through the air. So BYU falls to 4-7 all time against Southeastern Conference schools. They will come to Fayetteville, as David mentioned, next year. I won't be passing out ice cream, but maybe somebody will. Arkansas now scores 50 or more points. This was an interesting little stat. I pulled it from the Democrat Gazette. Arkansas scored 50 or more points against a non-conference opponent on the road for the first time since, want to guess? 1910 was the last time they had scored 50 or more points against a non-conference opponent on the road. ASU, boy, they're having a frustrating season. They fall to 2-5 overall, 1-3 in the conference. This one particularly frustrating. 20-19 loss at Southern Mississippi in Hattiesburg. Southern Miss trailed more than 53 of the 60 minutes in that game. In fact, the Red Wolves led 19-7 in the fourth quarter, but let it get away. The Golden Eagles are now 3-3, 1-1 in conference. They had touchdown drives of 95 and 45 yards late to end that football game with the victory. David mentions Ouachita moves to 7-0, 41-7 over the Boll Weevils of UAM. Ouachita, I just happened to do the math for you, David. Ouachita is now 38-2 in its last 40 conference games. 38-2. T.J. Cole, their senior running back, 232 yards rushing, 2 TDs. Kendall Gibbons from right here in Little Rock Christian. He's just a sophomore. He had another 141 yards rushing and 3 TDs. Ouachita's defense has now allowed 14 or fewer points in 5 of its 7 games. Meanwhile, Henderson goes to Searcy and shocks Harding 15-14. Harding had been alone in second. Now Henderson is tied in second with Harding. Tristan Heaton put the Reddies ahead for good, a 46-yard field goal with 6:40 left in that one. And Southern Arkansas went to Russellville and beat Arkansas Tech 49-33, a game that was actually called with 6:16 still left following hours of weather delays after that system moved in. Jarique Scales gained 152 yards on 20 carries for the Mule Riders and scored 3 touchdowns. So your 6 Arkansas teams, here are their records with 4 weeks left in the season. Ouachita is 7-0, Harding's 5-2, Henderson's 5-2, UAM's 3-4, SAU's 3-4, and Tech 3-4. And in a Sunday game, this was going to be one of those HBCU classics up in St. Louis, but apparently there were some questionable things about the promoters, so they moved it to Pine Bluff. Alabama A&M beats UAPB yesterday, 34-31. Golden Lions fall to 2-5 overall, and they are 0-4 in the SWAC. Division III, Sewanee beats Hendricks 48-21. NAI, Texas College beats Line 38-34, but Arkansas Baptist does get a win 24-6 over Georgia Knights Prep. Now, back to the SEC. How about that Tennessee-Alabama game? Good gosh, 52-49. Big Orange, Chase McGrath hits a 40-yard field goal. As time expires, 100,000 people storm the field. The goalposts end up in the Tennessee River as the Volunteers go to 6-0, 3-0 in conference. Tide falls to 6-1 and 3-1. Meanwhile, how about Ole Miss? They moved to 7-0 overall, 3-0 in conference, 48-34 over Auburn. Auburn will come into that Arkansas game 3-4 overall, 1-3 in conference. Ole Miss 7-0 for just the second time since the Johnny Vault glory years in 1962. Just the second time since then. The other time was 2014. And for the first time since 1976, the Rebels had 3 backs rush for more than 100 yards. I'm starting to think they're the real deal. Georgia's the real deal, 55-0 over Vanderbilt. Georgia's 7-0 overall, 4-0 in conference. Vanderbilt falls to 3-4, 0-3. That's the 24th consecutive SEC loss for Vanderbilt. 24 straight. Stetson Bennett threw for 289 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kentucky, they're both ranked, but Mississippi State was a little higher, so a mild upset of Mississippi State, 27-17. Both teams are now 5-2 overall, 2-2 in the SEC. Chris Rodriguez rushed for 196 yards and 2 scores for the Wildcats in that win. LSU looked awfully good, beating Florida 45-35 in Gainesville. That is 4 straight for LSU over the Gators. How that program has fallen off. So LSU goes to 5-2 overall, 3-1 in the conference. Florida falls to 4-3 and 1-3. Jaden Daniels threw for 3 TDs and rushed for 3 more. So he had 6 touchdowns for the Tigers in that game. Now, kind of a bit of a slow week as 5 of the SEC teams have open dates, including Arkansas. So you do have Mississippi State at Alabama, Vanderbilt at Missouri, Ole Miss at LSU, that's the CBS game on Saturday afternoon, Texas A&M at South Carolina, and Tennessee Martin at Tennessee. So a real off week for Tennessee. They can continue to celebrate that win. Now, here in Arkansas, as David mentioned, UCA, as he mentioned, and UAPB all have open dates. But never fear, we do have college football. El Dorado, Murphy USA Classic. They treat that like a little bowl game. I would invite you down there. Ouachita plays SAU in El Dorado on Saturday afternoon. You've also got Arkansas Tech at Henderson. You've got Harding at UAM. You've got Center College at Hendricks. And you got Southwest Assemblies of God at Line. So you know what that means. No excuses. No excuses. Games in El Dorado, Arkadelphia, Monticello, Conway, Batesville. Get in your car and go see a college football game on Saturday. Thanks, everybody.
Attaboy, Rex. Before I introduce a few special guests from UCA, I did want to mention Ron Davis, one of our board members. He had lost his uncle, Lawrence A. Davis, who was 85, and he was a former chancellor at UAPB from 1991 to 2012. His father, Rex, was a chancellor. That's right, from 1943 to 1972. But Ron's a great guy, and obviously we're going to have UAPB here, I guess, in 2 weeks. By the way, next week, Tim Brando. Tim Brando will be a treat next week for sure. I do want to recognize this. It's great to see so much purple here. Love it. I know we've got a lot of guests. Let me just introduce these few. If you would, just stand up and please remain standing until we can give you a round of applause. First of all, UCA President Houston Davis is here. Where's Houston? Thank you. Dr. Brad Teague, Athletic Director. Good to see Brad. Board of Trustees, Bunny Adcock and Curtis Barnett. Thank you there. And where's Nathan's wife, Jessica? Let's give them a round of applause for being here today. Thank you so much. That darn Brad never ages, a rascal. I don't know how you do it. Rex and I's waistline keeps growing, yours does not. I don't know what the deal is. He doesn't. I told Nathan and Jessica, you have this is one of the best Sully intros ever, because there's something at the end. Sully put a little twist at the end that you're going to love. I was very impressed too, by the way. You'll see what I'm talking about. So let's check out this intro and get Nathan Brown up here on the head stage, Matt.
Nathan Brown, all he did was throw 7 touchdown passes, 6 in the first half, and oh yeah, that's a school record.
As a player, Nathan Brown was a true gunslinger for the Bears, the most prolific passer in UCA history, a 3-time All-American. During his time as UCA's quarterback coach, his QBs averaged 3,200 passing yards. Nathan coached 4 of the top 6 offenses in UCA history, and he was the starting quarterback for the other 2. He was named head coach at UCA in December of 2017. In his second season, UCA won 9 games and earned a share of the conference title and a national seeding in the FCS playoffs. During the pandemic season of 2020, UCA played one of the toughest schedules in school history and finished 5-4. In his time as the Bears head coach, UCA is 16-9 in conference play. Nathan Brown started his UCA playing career in the fall of 2005. 17 years later, he is living a dream, coaching the Bears and his son Luke, who has more moves than his dad ever had as a football player. Please welcome UCA head coach Nathan Brown.
Thank y'all. Leave it to Sully. You know, Sully's one of my favorite guys. So when I was a player, Sully and Justin did the radio. So I got to know Sully real well. I remember as a kid, you know, and my parents are in the audience. And for some reason, when I was a kid, I went through this. You know, you go through phases, and like I wanted to be a sportscaster. Loved sports. Wanted to be around it. Didn't even think about coaching. But Sully, I think at the time was on Channel 4, and I remember. By the way, he hadn't aged a bit either since then. But man, I love Sully. He does such a great job for the state as well. Wow, what a day! What an opportunity to be on stage again here at the Little Rock Touchdown Club. You know, you look at some of the names. Baz and Jessica and I were talking before we came up. Just some of the names that have stood up here this year. For me to be up here is definitely an honor. And something that I definitely don't take for granted. You know, it's definitely a blessing, and definitely don't feel deserved, but pretty cool whenever you know, Kirk Herbstreit's up here, Coach Gruden, Coach Orgeron. I mean, you can go down the list. You know, Paul Feinbaum. I mean, how about that? So, pretty cool though. Like I was thinking about some of the guys that have been here and spoke, and I actually have 2 stories with 2 of those guys. And so the first one, actually, you know, we went on vacation. Actually, Sam Glover's in the audience, and he was on vacation with us down in Destin, Florida. And our beach house was parallel to Coach Orgeron's. Now, it was a nice beach house, and his was a nice beach house, and actually, they were identical. Coach Orgeron was by himself. We had about 10 families that split the bill. So there's a big difference there. But Coach Orgeron likes to have a good time. He enjoyed his time there. But here's what I remember about him was he was basically there the whole time we were there, the whole week. And we had a direct connection there with his son playing at McNeese State. He was a starting quarterback at McNeese State, and he knew Coach Campbell, had coached with him prior at Nicholls State in the early 90s. He was so gracious. He spent time talking football with me on the beach, sitting there, just talked about how he handles Sundays, how he handles stuff after a loss, was very, very gracious with his time and was unbelievable. Then I looked down the list, and there's Coach Gruden. So Coach Gruden's last year of being the head coach was my year of going into the NFL Combine. And so when you go into the NFL Combine, there's a lot of things that go into that, right? So one of the biggest things in the NFL Combine isn't just the 40 time, the vertical jump, all that stuff. That's what gets all the press, right? But where you make your money is in the meetings, right? You get 20 minutes a night with teams that choose to meet with you. And so I had an opportunity at the time to go meet with the Buccaneers, and Coach Gruden met with me. And so here's the deal. So different organizations have different approaches. And so they have these hotel rooms, and a lot of times it'll look like a normal hotel room, and they're in there, and there's suites, and they've got a conference table or whatever. And sometimes they literally clear out the whole hotel room, and they make it look like an office. Well, Coach Gruden, you get 20 minutes, so they're gonna try to grill you for 20 minutes, especially if you're a quarterback. They're trying to see what kind of bones you have, right? I'll never forget going in there and it being one of the more intimidating meetings I went in. It was a lot of times like I went into a meeting with Coach Pete Carroll, and he was very accommodating, very friendly, very almost wanted to get to know me as a person. Coach Gruden wanted to grill you. And I remember getting up on a whiteboard and him saying, "Hey, why don't you draw up your favorite play? Explain it to me. Explain where you're reading, where the safeties go. What are you doing? What's your answers if this happens?" So you're doing all this, And then he goes up there and he draws 4 plays up. He said, "This is box A. This is box B. This is C. This is D." He explains kind of each play, and then he just wipes the board, erases the board now, and says, "I want you to explain to me what box C you're supposed to do." And I'm like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" Like, I'm smart and all. I've thrown for a lot of yards. I mean, I can do a lot of things, but man, you talk about pee down your leg. And I'm going to be honest with you, I think I did a pretty dang good job. And that's just my opinion. But yeah, so when I looked at some of the people it's pretty cool to have some parallels with some of these people that have spoke up here. It's such an honor. I want to recognize too, first of all, Jessica's already stood up. Man, I'm a Jessica Brown fan. She keeps our family together. She's such an amazing woman of God. She's a great wife, more than anything, a great mother. And to be in this coaching profession the way we are, if you don't have a solid wife that supports you and is by your side through the thick and thin, the wins and the losses, the tough times, the late night phone calls, and saying, "Hey, I got to go meet this kid at 10 o'clock at night and talk him off a ledge," whatever it is, you wouldn't have a shot. So I love Jessica for who she is and how she helps me through this process. My mom and dad's also in the crowd, and obviously to get to where I am, you wouldn't get there without a stable background and without a stable growth through my life.
Can we just ask them to stand up?
Yeah, please stand up, Mom and Dad. How about that? Yeah, give them a hand. And they still make most trips to watch and support the Bears. Obviously, as a player, they did the same thing as well. My father-in-law, Glenn McNatt, is in the crowd as well as my sister-in-law, Ashley McNatt. Appreciate you guys being here. So I've got a great support system, and that's why I'm blessed to have the success I have. It wouldn't be because of Nathan Brown. It's because of the people around me. I can promise you that. But what I was thinking about today was, man, I could talk a lot about the Bears, and there's no doubt about the opportunity I have every single week is to be a steward of the University of Central Arkansas football program. Whether that's win, lose, thick, thin, tough times, great times, I've been through all of it. And, I was telling David before I came up here, I'm only 36 years old. I still feel pretty young. But, man, I'm going on year 5 as a head coach. And so I've added gray hairs. My hairline's reduced. As Greg Hatcher said, though, I still look like I'm in shape, so that's good. That's good. I go take my walks and get a little cardio in, but it's not easy. And so when I got the head coaching job, one thing people always told me, and if you're a CEO or if you're running a program or a business or whatever it is, this probably applies to you as well. So the joke was when you get the head coaching job, basically you can take the frontal lobe of your brain and set it on your desk and then pick it up when you're done being a head coach. And so I always thought that, oh, that's funny, yeah, that's good. So I was when I heard that, I got to thinking, like, when I was an assistant coach, where are some examples of this? I was fortunate enough to be an assistant coach under two great head coaches, Coach Clint Conk, who I played for at UCA, and Coach Steve Campbell, who eventually left and went to South Alabama as the head coach. Two great guys and totally different spectrums of the profession, but good at what they do. And so I was thinking, man, so two examples of when Coach Brown, the assistant coach, said, man, their frontal lobe was literally on their desk when this happened. So we're at Montana, okay? This is 2011, and we're in the second round of the Division I national playoffs. So it's early December in the Rocky Mountains of Montana. So what do you think the temperature is? I mean, it's cold. So a lot of UCA people were there, right? I mean, you remember it was a cold game. I think game time temperature was in the teens. We of course, we've got nothing but players from the South, like many people around here, and so we were very out of our element. And so to prove a point, Coach Conk had this great idea on Saturday morning. It was, I think, a 1 o'clock kick, so an early kick. Our hotel was directly across the river that runs right through the middle of town from their stadium. So it's probably a quarter of a mile from the stadium. And they got, if you've ever been to the University of Montana at the FCS level, it's as good as it gets. Much support. It's their state flagship school. The tailgating, it's a 25, 30,000 seat stadium. I mean, it's jam-packed every week. Unbelievable. Maybe the best atmosphere I've ever played in. I've been to Oklahoma State, Ole Miss. I've been to a lot of places, and that was as good as it gets. Well, Saturday morning rolls around, and Coach Conk comes to our assistant coach and says, hey, I got an idea. We're going to set the tone. And the game's not even going to be started. And we're all sitting there like, what are you talking about? So he's like, we're not going to take the bus to the stadium. We're going to prove that this cold doesn't bother me. We're going to walk across that bridge as a team. And we're all sitting there like, what are you talking about? Like, all right, it's 20. At this point, it's probably 12 degrees because it's earlier in the morning. And so we make the walk across the bridge. As you're walking across the bridge, there's literally ice going through the creek or the river as you're walking by. And we went on to be down 35-0 at halftime. We won the second half 14-10 though, so that was a plus. So you just sit there and you're like, as a head coach. So I sit there and think now as a head coach, what's he thinking? Well, he's thinking psychological. He's thinking I'm going to gain an edge by doing this. So as a head coach, you do a lot of things that maybe a lot of people kind of question, and they're like, what are you doing? But in the moment, it's right in his mind. And as an assistant coach, we were fully behind him when we left that staff meeting. Whether it worked or it didn't work, we were behind him. So that frontal lobe was sitting there pretty hard. Coach Campbell was at Mississippi Gulf Coast, the other coach I worked for. And a kid shows up late to practice. And Coach Campbell's kind of old school. He's got that old school voice. He's I'm going to get after him, whatever it is. Well, this kid shows up late to practice, and Coach Campbell runs up to him. Why are you late to practice? You don't show up late to my practice. Like, this is my practice. You showing up late. Kid's kind of, he's not crying, sobbing. I got stung by a bee, Coach. I got stung by a bee, man. I might be allergic or whatever. It hurt, whatever. And Campbell goes, you got stung by a bee? Like a bee? And so he's in South Mississippi, Mississippi Gulf Coast, where there's anthills everywhere, right? He goes, he got somebody. So he goes, yeah, but you mean a bee's going to stop you from playing football? He walks over to one of those anthills, sticks his hand straight into the anthill, lets those ants kind of crawl all over him. He's proving a point now. And so he just flicks those ants off at that point. He goes about practice, says, don't worry about no bee. Okay, well, the next day rolls around, and his arm's whelped up. He's sitting there squeezing it. He's regretting life. Again, that frontal lobe goes out, and you're setting it on that table. It's crazy. And so I'm sitting here questioning myself like, man, how many times have my assistant coaches said the same thing about me, right? If you're a CEO or an owner of a company, what are your employees saying about you? Sometimes. But man, it's such a blessing. It's such a blessing to be, again, like I said, the steward of a program through times that have not been easy over the last 3 years. You can rewind. I tell people this all the time. Like, people ask me a lot, like, Coach, you doing okay? You doing all right? y'all lost last week, or man, great win. You doing okay? I'm like, man, yeah, I'm built for this. This is what God has blessed me to be and who I am. You know, I think about that like I'm built for this because UCA is my school, right? University of Central Arkansas is Nathan Brown's school. And so when something is in your heart, you're built for that, right? When something is in your guts, you're built for that. It's similar to David. Like David, you do anything for the University of Arkansas. Rex, you do anything for Ouachita Baptist. You're built for those opportunities. RJ, UCA, right? Like that's who you are. And so to be able to steward a program and be a part of a program, whether it's going good, whether it's going bad, or whether there's ups, whether there's downs, whether there's a loss of life, whether there's a championship, whatever it is, I'm built for this. And that's not saying anything to pat yourself on the back. That's saying that this is my place. And people ask that all the time, but the last 3 years have been tough for all of us as coaches. Coach Bolton will tell you in high school. You know, you start with 2020 and you go through a COVID year. The last 3 years of sports has been as interesting as it gets in college athletics. We had an event the other day, and Dr. T kind of hit on it when he was speaking to our program. I mean, in the last 3 years, we've gone through COVID, we've gone through the transfer portal, and we've gone through NIL. And so all of those things combined in one, we're in the most interesting / entertaining time of college athletics. And so does that mean it helps Coach Brown sleep at night? No, it doesn't. But it does mean that it's opportunity. And so with opportunity comes chance, and a chance to reflect, and a chance to impact kids, an opportunity to be a part of families that may not have an opportunity before they got there. You know, the most important thing in anything you do, to me, is consistency. We have not done a very good job this year as a program in non-conference games. Now, we've had a chance to win every game. You know, Rex was talking about that Ole Miss team. They're pretty dang good. You know, they're pretty good. We got in that buzzsaw week 2. But every other game that we've played, we've had a chance to win. But we've stayed consistent with our approach as coaches, as players, as a program, as support staff, as everybody involved through this 2022 football season. So with that consistency equals where we're at now, which is what we can control, which is the ASUN Conference. We've had 2 opportunities, and we're 2-0 in those opportunities. In those opportunities, offense is averaging 50 points a game. Offense is averaging 523 yards of offense a game. Defense is giving up 22 points a game, and they're giving up 336 yards of total defense a game. That's first place in the ASUN Conference. So we're handling our business when it matters. What we have done with that consistency is taken a negative word and put an acronym in it and made it a positive. So hard is my word. Like when you think of hard, you usually think of something negative, right? Hard means, you know, if something's hard, it's usually not positive. Well, we've turned that acronym as a program it's that word into an acronym as a program to represent heart, attitude, respect, and discipline. And so we live by that every single day. You know, you worry about the now, and you inspire someone with your play. Let me say that again. You worry about the now and inspire someone with your play. I talked to our team about that after Saturday's win against Kennesaw State. Backs against the wall, you go play a triple option team, a Harding offense. That's difficult. That's not something you see every day in the 2022 era of football. Our backs are against the wall, but we had a hard mentality. We had great heart. Our attitude was second to none. We respected the opponent, and we were disciplined in our approach. And we came away with a huge win. But coach, I tell people this all the time, and if this isn't true, I had a coach tell me this one time. And so when you talk about ups and downs and opportunities and the moments of life that gets thrown at you, and the profession that you're in as a coach, he told me this: coaching is the fortunate opportunities of unfortunate opportunities. Y'all hear that? Coaching is the fortunate opportunity of unfortunate opportunities. You know, I think about this past spring, we lost an athlete in our program to a tragic accident on campus. One of the hardest things that I personally have ever had to deal with was, you know, calling a mom and a dad at 4 a.m. that, you know, their son passed away with this accident. That's not something that you sign up for when you get into coaching, right? But through that unfortunate opportunity, I've seen our team grow in so many ways. I've seen what that young man's impact was, whether it was a small detail or a huge detail, to the impact of our program. And so you think about the unfortunate times that arises throughout your life or throughout coaching or throughout a football season, and you think about how you responded and reacted to those opportunities, and that's what it's about, is the growth from those unfortunate incidents or whatever that is. And that's part of being a coach, and that's part of, Nathan Brown didn't sign up for that, but that's where I am. That's where God's put me. That's where our family is, and it's my job to now steward this in a direction that is positive, not only for our program, our university, our community, but also the players and the people involved with it. I talk to guys all the time about brotherhood. Brotherhood is defined to me as a supernatural bond built on an uncommon trust, regardless of backgrounds, overcoming all obstacles together forever. That's football. Like, I tell people this all the time, football is the greatest game ever invented, because you take 11 dudes and you put them on a field and you go to battle, whether it's on a Friday night, a Saturday, or a Sunday, and you have to totally put your egos aside to win a football game. And it's great when you get your name in the paper. You got to have guys like you. But you also got to have those guys that don't get their name in the paper as well. And that's something special when that happens. That's why football is so important, not only as a life lesson, but also as an opportunity to really grow a community. And that's why so many people care about it. And that's why you see states, you see the United States of America rally behind a sport. That's why it's so criticized. That's why it's so looked at. That's why it's reported on every week and every day, and that's what makes it so special. So for me, as a head coach, I get blessed enough to now have 120 student athletes that play the greatest game that was ever invented, and I get to lead this program at the school I graduated from. Man, that's a blessing, and man, that's an opportunity that I do not take lightly. The UCA football program is in good hands. We're in a position now of a lot of transition. We're in a position now where things may look different 3 years from now. I don't know. We've got two of the that stood up earlier, President Houston Davis and Dr. Brad Teague, two of the best in the business at what they do. Two of the best. As a matter of fact, President Davis doesn't know this, but when he came by, he was also at Kennesaw State when Coach Bohannon was hired there, and started that program at Kennesaw State. Well, we were talking before the game like head coaches do, and President Davis came up to say hi to both of us, obviously having a relationship with both of us. As he walked off, Coach Bohannon turned to me and said, "Hey, I'm just letting you know, I've been trying to poach your president for a while. I want him back." And he meant it, and so why I say that is truthful. Like, we've got two of the best there is in the business. So as this ever-changing landscape happens, we're in good hands. Dr. Teague has a vision, has a mindset, has a goal in mind, and we're going to continue to push toward that. Now, is there going to be turns? Is there going to be speed bumps? Heck yeah. Anything great that happened that doesn't not have that along the way, right? It's our job. It's like I tell our guys all the time. It's our job to handle what we can control, what's in our face, what's in the now, and then make people proud along the way doing it. And I think our guys are doing a good job of that. And right now, like I said, again, we've had two opportunities at what's guaranteed for us. See, at our level of football, similar to the D2 level of football, and I'm not trying to knock the FBS level of football, but man, 6 wins, that's a goal, right? Like, get to a bowl game. I mean, that's good. Good and all, but 6 wins don't get you jack at the FCS level. Don't get you nothing at the D2 level. 6 wins, 7 wins, good job. Get ready for next year. I'm not going to play in the Birmingham Bowl. So therefore there is a high goal here. And so what can we control? We can control the way we handle the ASUN conference. And at this point we've had 2 opportunities and we've handled that to a T. And we're going to continue to push toward that. Our players know that goal. They know what's at stake every single week. And that's the exciting part about where we're at right now. and I'm not trying to, I didn't want to knock any FBS 6-win deals. I'd love to get 6 wins. I would, but it's a different goal and mindset when you're playing at our level of football. And that's the part that gets me excited and out of bed every day is I've got a bunch of dudes that want to go fight for a program and fight for a university and fight for a community and do it in the most positive, upstanding way they can. And it's my job to steward that in the most positive way. And I'm going to end with this. I say this all the time. And I said this the other night when I was speaking as well. Ultimately, Jessica and I, our family, Riley and Luke, two awesome kids. We've been blessed to be where we're at for a long time, and I don't take that lightly. I mean, to be in one place at one time in this profession is something that doesn't happen. It's rare. I think there's. And I may be wrong on this, but the South Dakota State coach, he's a lot older than I am, but he has been at his school the whole time he's been in his career, which is amazing because I think he's been the head coach there for 25-plus years. Started there as an assistant. Now he's got them as #1 team in the country at the FCS level. Pretty amazing stretch there. But it doesn't happen very often, so I don't take that lightly. But what I always end with is that ultimately this program and this school, the community, not just Conway but Central Arkansas, means so much to us as a family. And literally, we bleed purple. That's who we are. That's who we are. The main goal in this whole deal is a school and a program and a place that's given us so much to a family. We want to give so much back to it. And that's what this is about. And it's our job now to steward the football program and continue the success that we've had because it's been very, very, very good over the last few decades. And I want to continue to get that. I think that the upside of this is enormous if we let it run. I really believe that. And it's going to take continued work, continued support, and continued success on the field to do it, but we can do it. And I'm excited to be the guy calling the shots on doing it. I appreciate you guys.
2 quick questions. Check. 2 quick questions before I let you go. So you mentioned NIL and transfer portal. And so I think it'd be interesting to hear from folks who have heard about it from the Power 5 standpoint, but how has transfer portal and NIL affected FCS and, particularly UCA, and how has it impacted you so far?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think one thing that our level sees is just like anybody else, they stay on social media. They see a lot of the big deals happening. And a lot of the opportunities that, not everybody's getting what Bryce Young gets at Alabama, right? Or what the kid at Ohio State gets. I mean, that's out of this world stuff. But NIL opportunities hasn't really affected us a whole lot. We've had some kids that have some opportunities throughout some different avenues to make some extra money, which is good for them, an opportunity there. I think it's going to continue to be more and more of an issue, just keeping kids off of NIL stuff and information. It just is because just like anybody would, they're always looking to better their situation, and that's tough, and that's something you constantly have got to guard against. The tough part for coaches is we have nothing to do with that, right? So like I could sit there and go, well, any coach or program that's sitting there promising an NIL deal is breaking rules. I mean, that's all outside of the coaching and the NCAA bylaws and all that. So. As far as that goes, the transfer portal world is we have 7 transfer portal kids on our team right now from last year. We did a study the other day because you're constantly trying to improve and look where you can get better. And I would say in our conference, it is in our conference, the average number is about 14 in our conference. So we're about half that. I don't know what the magic number is for UCA. I don't. We're continuing, and I think a lot of it's fit. I think a lot of it is right timing. But that is definitely an area we have taken a coach that off of a recruiting area. In other words, you don't have a city, you don't have a region, and all he does is work transfer portal now. So that has been an adjustment from last year to this year in that process as well.
The last thing before we let you go, sometimes we don't realize the level of ball that's being played at the FCS level. And I think it's really remarkable if you look at some of the players that have come out of UCA that have made it to the NFL,
Absolutely.
or the pro level. Matt, if you would just run through a couple of pictures, Coach. Just obviously that's
Robert Rochelle.
Yeah,
Won the Super Bowl
last year. Just keep going. There we go.
Tremont Smith was a corner, 4-year starter for us at corner from Anniston, Alabama. George Odom, first team All-Pro, special team safety. Now he's starting nickel for the San Francisco 49ers.
Came right out as a rookie, right?
Yes, he did.
And basically played.
Was an all-rookie team, special teams player.
That's right.
Jonathan Woodard, Larry Hart. Larry Hart was a 6th-round pick or 5th-round pick. Played with him. Played 3 years in the league. Now is out of the league and is defensive line coach at Houston, University of Houston. Jonathan Woodard, he actually was with the Chiefs through the week 1, got cut by them, went up to Canada. Actually, last year led the CFL. That's how he got back in the league.
Is that right?
Led the CFL with 12 sacks, and then got back in the league with the Chiefs. He was originally drafted by the Dolphins.
And he was, by the way, too. He was a Dan Hampton Award
Yes, he
winner
was.
for the top defensive lineman in the state, and I think we got one more. I think.
Yeah, Tristan, one of my guys here. So Tristan Jackson, I played with Tristan. He is the all-time leading punt returner, special teams guy for Saskatchewan in the CFL. He will actually be back for the first time. He contacted me the other day. Be back for the first time with his family to homecoming in 2 weeks to Conway. So that's a pretty cool deal.
So the moral of the story is, obviously, you guys are producing high-end talent that's playing at the next level.
100%. And I feel like we've got some guys on our team right now that will eventually have that opportunity as well. Had LaJuan Winningham last year, wide receiver, who was with the Jacksonville Jaguars, ended up getting cut, but is a free agent right now. It's big-time football, and we play a great brand of it.
Always great to have Nathan Brown. Let's give it up for Nathan Brown, everybody. Good job, Nathan.
Great job, always. Good luck the rest of the way.
For those who want pictures, come on up real quick so we can get Coach back to practice.